In the quiet suburbs of a nameless town, where routine and monotony seemed to stretch endlessly, there lived a woman named Emily. Her days were marked by the ticking of the clock and the mundane hum of the refrigerator. Little did she know that the seemingly uneventful routine of staying at home would become the canvas upon which an eerie tale unfolded. It all began on a particularly rainy evening. The incessant drumming of raindrops against the windowpane created a soothing melody that blended with the warmth of Emily's cozy home. She found solace in the simple pleasures of her daily life, reading books, sipping hot tea, and occasionally glancing out at the world beyond the rain-streaked glass. One evening, as Emily immersed herself in a gripping novel, she heard an odd noise, a faint tapping that seemed to echo through the quiet rooms. Assuming it was the rain playing tricks on her senses, she dismissed it and returned to her book. Yet, the tapping persisted, growing slightly louder with each passing minute. Curiosity getting the better of her, Emily ventured into the hallway, following the sound to its source. To her surprise, the noise seemed to lead her to the attic door, a part of the house she rarely visited. The attic, filled with forgotten relics and dusty memories, loomed as a mysterious realm waiting to be explored. As Emily cautiously ascended the creaky staircase to the attic, the tapping grew more pronounced. The air in the confined space felt charged with an unseen energy, and the flickering light from a single bulb cast long, unsettling shadows on the walls. The source of the tapping revealed itself, a peculiar antique mirror tucked away in a corner. The mirror, framed in ornate silver, seemed to beckon Emily closer. As she approached, her reflection stared back at her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. The tapping transformed into whispers, indistinct voices that seemed to echo from the depths of the reflective surface. Emily, both captivated and unnerved, found herself unable to look away. As the whispers grew clearer, they revealed fragments of conversations, distant laughter, and hushed secrets. The mirror had become a portal to the echoes of lives lived within the walls of the house, a spectral archive of forgotten moments. Emily, drawn into the spectral chorus, found herself reliving glimpses of the lives that had unfolded in the quiet home she thought she knew so well. The spectral voices carried tales of joy, sorrow, and the passage of time. Unseen hands traced patterns on the fogged-up glass, revealing scenes of celebrations, family gatherings, and the everyday moments that defined the home's history. Emily, now an unwitting observer of the past, felt an inexplicable connection to the lives that had left their imprints on the mirror. In the midst of the spectral revelations, Emily noticed a figure in the mirror, a shadowy silhouette that seemed to move independently of her own reflection. The figure, with hollow eyes that mirrored her gaze, extended a ghostly hand towards the glass. The whispers became more urgent, imploring Emily to break the connection, to free herself from the unseen force that held her in its spectral grasp. Fear gripped Emily as she stumbled back from the mirror, breaking the connection between the present and the echoes of the past. The whispers faded, and the tapping ceased. The attic returned to its silent stillness, the rain outside the only sound that lingered in the air. For days, Emily grappled with the unsettling experience, questioning the thin veil between the living and the spectral. The antique mirror, once an overlooked relic in the attic, became a mysterious artifact that held the echoes of lives intertwined with the history of the home. As Emily resumed her routine of staying at home, the attic remained a realm of unspoken mysteries. The antique mirror, now covered with a dusty cloth, stood as a silent witness to the spectral whispers that had briefly breached the boundaries of time and reality. Emily, forever changed by the inexplicable encounter, couldn't shake the feeling that the quiet house held secrets far beyond the confines of its familiar walls, a truth that transcended the ordinary and delved into the realm of the uncanny. In a quaint town nestled between mist-laden hills and ancient woods, there lived a woman named Elara. As the world outside faced uncertain times, Elara, like many others, found solace within the confines of her home. Little did she know that her seemingly ordinary days of staying at home would soon unravel into a chilling tale of the mystical and the malevolent. Elara's house, an aged Victorian structure with a storied history, exuded an air of both charm and mystery. The creaking floorboards and the soft rustle of the wind against the ivy-clad windows created a comforting symphony. Elara, an artist by heart, immersed herself in her work, finding inspiration in the quietude of her home. One gloomy evening, as raindrops painted a rhythmic melody on her windows, Elara discovered an old and ornate mirror tucked away in the corner of her attic. The mirror, adorned with intricate engravings and a time-worn elegance, seemed to beckon to her. An inexplicable force drew Elara closer, and as she gazed into the reflective surface, an unsettling feeling crept over her. The antique mirror, like a portal to another realm, reflected an ethereal version of Elara's surroundings. The rain outside transformed into a cascade of silver threads, and the air within the attic felt charged with an otherworldly energy. Elara, both captivated and unnerved, found herself unable to tear her gaze away from the mystical mirror. As Elara continued to peer into the antique glass, the reflective surface began to morph. The room behind her altered, taking on an eerie and distorted quality. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes. The rain outside transformed into an otherworldly downpour, each drop pulsating with an unnatural glow. In the mirrored realm, Elara saw a spectral figure, an apparition with hollow eyes that seemed to mirror her own gaze. The figure reached out from the reflective abyss, its ghostly fingers almost breaking through the confines of the glass. Whispers, indistinct and haunting, emanated from the mirror, a chorus of voices that seemed to echo from the depths of an unseen dimension. The room around Elara grew colder, and an oppressive atmosphere settled in the attic. Unseen hands traced patterns on the fogged-up glass, revealing glimpses of a forgotten past. Elara witnessed scenes of a bygone era, dark rituals, arcane symbols, and a spectral congregation that seemed to transcend time itself. Compelled by an unseen force, Elara uttered an incantation she had unwittingly gleaned from the spectral whispers. The room trembled as the mirror became a gateway, merging the physical and mystical realms. The apparition within the mirror, now freed from its reflective prison, materialized in the attic with an ominous presence. The spectral figure, a manifestation of ancient energies, moved with a purpose that Elara could not comprehend. It left behind a trail of chilling whispers and shadows that clung to the walls. The atmosphere thickened with an unholy energy as the spectral entity sought to bridge the gap between the mystical and the mundane. As Elara grappled with the unfolding nightmare, the town outside descended into chaos. Unearthly storms ravaged the landscape, and the once quiet hills echoed with otherworldly wails. The spectral figure, now a harbinger of mystical malevolence, left a trail of darkness in its wake, ensnaring unsuspecting souls within its spectral grasp. Desperate to undo the calamity she had unleashed, Elara delved into ancient tomes and arcane texts, seeking a way to sever the connection between the realms. The town's once peaceful woods became the stage for a climactic confrontation between Elara and the malevolent force that had transcended the boundaries of the mirror. In a ritual of redemption and sacrifice, Elara faced the spectral entity, armed with newfound knowledge and an unwavering resolve. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy as the two forces clashed in a battle that unfolded on the border between the mystical and the mortal. In the final moments of the harrowing confrontation, Elara uttered an incantation that resonated with ancient power. The spectral figure, caught in the midst of its malevolent dance, faltered. The distorted reality began to unravel, and the mirror, now a conduit of redemption, absorbed the malevolent energy back into its reflective depths. As the echoes of the mystical nightmare subsided, the attic returned to its quiet and eerie normalcy. The antique mirror, once a portal to the unknown, now stood dormant, its engravings telling tales of the supernatural encounter. The rain outside ceased, and the spectral figure, defeated and bound to the reflective surface once more, became a silent guardian of ancient secrets. Elara, forever changed by the mystical ordeal, looked upon the mirror with a mix of awe and trepidation. The town, though scarred by the ethereal tempest, slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. The hills, once echoing with otherworldly wails, embraced a serene calm. The tale of Elara's stay at home became a whispered legend in the town, a cautionary story of the mystical forces that could be unleashed when the boundary between the ordinary and the extraordinary was crossed. The antique mirror, now a relic of both beauty and terror, stood as a testament to the thin veil that separates the known and the unknown, a truth that Elara, in her pursuit of inspiration, had unearthed in the eerie confines of her home. In the heart of a bustling metropolis stood a towering skyscraper, a sleek behemoth of steel and glass that seemed to touch the heavens. This modern marvel of architecture housed countless souls, each with their own stories and aspirations. At the topmost floor of this imposing structure, in a luxurious penthouse, lived a man named Sebastian. Sebastian was a solitary figure, content in his solitude. As the world outside faced uncertainties, he found solace in the quietude of his penthouse. The sweeping panoramic views of the city below and the distant horizon were his only companions during those long, contemplative hours spent at home. One fateful night, as the city below slumbered in the glow of artificial lights, Sebastian noticed something peculiar in the reflection of his floor-to-ceiling windows. The cityscape seemed to ripple, the buildings dancing with an unnatural energy. Intrigued, Sebastian dismissed it as a trick of the light and continued his evening routine. As the night deepened, an unsettling feeling settled upon the penthouse. The air grew thick with an unspoken tension, and the ambient hum of the city transformed into an eerie silence. Sebastian, now attuned to the peculiarities of the night, night couldn't shake the feeling that something unnatural loomed on the horizon. Unable to ignore the ominous atmosphere, Sebastian decided to explore the dimly lit corridors of his multi-story skyscraper. The walls, adorned with expensive art and intricate designs, seemed to whisper ancient tales of the building's storied past. As he ascended and descended through the labyrinthine halls, the silence intensified, and a chilling draft wafted through the usually climate-controlled spaces. Sebastian reached the topmost floor, his penthouse, only to find the panoramic windows revealing a surreal distortion of the city below. The skyscrapers seemed to writhe with an otherworldly energy, their outlines bending and contorting as if caught in the throes of a supernatural force. The once distant horizon appeared to ripple like a mirage, and a sense of unreality gripped Sebastian. Compelled by an inexplicable force, Sebastian approached the windows, his breath forming misty patterns on the glass. The city below transformed into a phantasmagoric landscape, and the penthouse itself became a focal point for the supernatural energy that now permeated the skyscraper. In the reflection of the glass, Sebastian saw apparitions, shadowy figures that moved with an unnatural grace. Their movements echoed the silent whispers that filled the air, and the penthouse became a conduit for the spectral energies that manifested within the building's structure. As the apparitions reached out from the reflective surface, Sebastian felt an icy chill run down his spine. The whispers coalesced into indistinct voices, narrating tales of forgotten histories, lost souls, and a mystical curse that bound the skyscraper to a realm beyond human understanding. Desperate to escape the encroaching supernatural forces, Sebastian sought refuge in the lower floors of the skyscraper. Each corridor seemed to stretch into an infinite abyss, and the walls pulsated with an otherworldly glow. The once familiar spaces had become a labyrinth of nightmares, with each floor leading to new horrors. In his descent, Sebastian encountered spectral manifestations, apparitions of former residents and echoes of the building's past. Their ethereal forms lingered in the hallways, trapped between the realms of the living and the supernatural. The skyscraper, once a symbol of modernity and progress, now stood as a haunted monument to the mysteries that unfolded within its walls. As Sebastian delved deeper into the labyrinth, he stumbled upon a forgotten chamber, a hidden space with ancient symbols etched into the walls. The room resonated with an unsettling energy, and at its center lay an ancient artifact, a relic that seemed to pulse with malevolent power. Compelled by an unseen force, Sebastian approached the artifact. As his hand touched the ancient surface, the skyscraper's supernatural energy surged, and the building itself seemed to respond to the ancient relic. The spectral figures converged, forming a spectral congregation that encircled Sebastian in a ghastly dance. In the climactic moment, the artifact unleashed a burst of mystical energy, enveloping Sebastian in an otherworldly glow. The skyscraper quivered, its foundations rattled by the convergence of the supernatural forces. Sebastian, now a conduit for the ancient energies, felt the weight of centuries-old curses and forgotten tales pressing upon him. In a flash, the supernatural energies receded, leaving the skyscraper and Sebastian in an eerie stillness. The labyrinthine corridors returned to their mundane state, and the city below, no longer distorted, resumed its nocturnal serenity. The ancient artifact, now dormant, lay at the center of the forgotten chamber. Sebastian, changed by the mystical encounter, emerged from the skyscraper with a haunted look in his eyes. The penthouse, once a sanctuary, now held the echoes of spectral figures and ancient curses. The skyscraper itself, forever marked by the convergence of the supernatural forces, stood as a sentinel to the mysteries that lurked within its towering heights. The tale of Sebastian's night in the haunted skyscraper became a whispered legend among the city's residents. The building, though resuming its usual facade, retained an air of the supernatural, a chilling reminder that sometimes the modern world could intertwine with ancient curses in the most unexpected of ways. In the heart of a serene village, surrounded by rolling hills and ancient woods, there stood a weathered house with a history as old as the whispers carried by the wind. This village, untouched by the frenetic pace of the outside world, harbored tales of folklore and mysticism. In this quaint abode lived a woman named Isabella, a keeper of the village's traditions and guardian of the mysterious house. One cold autumn evening, as the village prepared for the impending winter, Isabella found herself alone in her ancestral home. The villagers had gathered for a seasonal celebration, leaving her to tend to the hearth and the memories embedded within the time-worn walls. The house, with its cobweb-laden corners and creaking floorboards, seemed to come alive with the memories of generations past. As Isabella stoked the fire and the flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the aged wallpaper, a subtle unease settled in the air. The wind outside howled through the ancient trees, carrying with it the whispers of forgotten tales and lingering spirits. Isabella, usually at ease in the solitude of her home, felt an otherworldly presence as she moved from room to room. In the heart of the house, an ancient oak door, adorned with symbols and runes, caught Isabella's attention. It was a door rarely opened, a portal to a forgotten part of the house that held secrets whispered only in hushed tones among the villagers. As the firelight played upon the door, Isabella felt an inexplicable compulsion to unlock the mysteries hidden behind it. With an old iron key inherited from her ancestors, Isabella cautiously opened the door. A gust of cold wind rushed through, carrying with it an ethereal fragrance that seemed to be woven into the fabric of the house. The room beyond the door, bathed in an otherworldly glow, housed relics of a bygone era, ancient manuscripts, mystical artifacts, and the remnants of rituals long forgotten. As Isabella explored the mysterious room, a weathered book caught her attention. Its pages, yellowed with age, contained incantations and symbols that spoke of a mystical heritage entwined with the village's folklore. Unbeknownst to Isabella, she had stumbled upon a repository of ancient knowledge, a connection to the village's spiritual past. As the night deepened, Isabella, compelled by an unseen force, began to recite the incantations from the ancient book. The room resonated with an eerie energy, and the symbols on the walls seemed to come alive, pulsating with an ethereal glow. The wind outside transformed into an otherworldly chorus, echoing the chants within the house. In the midst of the mystical incantations, Isabella inadvertently awakened a dormant spirit, a presence that had slumbered for centuries. The atmosphere in the house grew heavy, and the air shimmered with a spectral luminescence. Shadows danced on the walls, and the flickering flames cast an eerie play of light and shadow. The awakened spirit, a guardian of ancient wisdom, materialized before Isabella. Its form, ethereal and translucent, seemed to flicker with the memories of generations past. The spirit spoke in echoes, revealing tales of the village's mystical lineage and the delicate balance between the mortal and the ethereal. As the night unfolded, Isabella found herself entwined in a communion with the awakened spirit. The village outside, now cloaked in darkness, echoed with the ghostly whispers of ancestral voices. Isabella, a conduit for the ancient energies, became a guardian of the mystical heritage that bound the village and the house together. However, with the first light of dawn, the spirit's form began to fade. The ancient knowledge imparted, the spectral luminescence dimmed, and the room returned to its dormant state. The symbols on the walls, once vibrant, settled into a quiet stillness. Isabella, left alone in the mysterious room, realized the profound connection forged between the village, the house, and the mystical spirit. As the villagers returned to their homes, unaware of the mystical communion that had transpired, Isabella stood before the ancient oak door. The key, now imbued with the energies of the night, seemed to resonate with a subtle glow. The house, though weathered and aged, bore witness to the unfolding of ancient secrets, a tapestry woven with threads of mysticism and the enduring spirit of a village untouched by time. The tale of Isabella's night in the mystical house became a whispered legend among the villagers. The ancient oak door, usually closed and forgotten, stood as a testament to the hidden forces that bound the village to its mystical past. Isabella, forever changed by the communion with the awakened spirit, embraced her role as the keeper of the ancient knowledge, a guardian of the delicate balance between the mortal and the ethereal in the heart of the serene village. In the heart of a small town, nestled between mist-covered hills and ancient forests, there stood a centuries-old mansion known as Ravencrest Manor. The mansion, with its imposing facade and dark history, had long been the subject of local legends and whispered tales. Its grandeur belied the secrets that lay within, secrets that had endured through generations. In this quiet town lived a woman named Eleanor, a solitary figure with an affinity for the mysterious. As the world outside faced uncertainties, Eleanor found herself alone in Ravencrest Manor. The townspeople, wary of the mansion's enigmatic aura, had chosen to stay away, leaving her to explore the shadowed halls and hidden corners. On a stormy night, with raindrops pelting against the towering windows, Eleanor felt an unusual compulsion to venture into the depths of the mansion. The creaking floorboards and the distant echoes of thunder created an eerie symphony as she descended into the labyrinthine passages below. The lower levels of Ravencrest Manor, shrouded in perpetual darkness, held secrets that whispered through the air like ghostly sighs. Eleanor, guided by an unseen force, discovered a hidden chamber adorned with ancient symbols and faded tapestries. In the center of the room lay an ornate wooden box, its intricate carvings telling tales of forgotten rituals and arcane practices. With a hesitant breath, Eleanor opened the box, revealing a collection of aged manuscripts and a vial containing a mysterious elixir. The manuscripts spoke of a centuries-old curse that bound the mansion to the restless spirits of those who had once inhabited its halls. The elixir, it claimed, held the key to unveiling the spectral forces that lingered within Ravencrest Manor. Compelled by an inexplicable urge, Eleanor decided to partake in the elixir. As the liquid touched her lips, the room trembled, and the symbols on the walls seemed to glow with an ethereal light. The air thickened, and shadows danced with a spectral energy that transcended the boundaries between the living and the supernatural. As Eleanor explored the mansion, now transformed by the elixir's influence, she encountered apparitions, flickering images of long-lost residents and echoes of their past lives. The rooms, once dormant, pulsed with the memories of forgotten celebrations and whispered secrets that had long been confined within the mansion's walls. In the grand hall, Eleanor witnessed a spectral ballroom, a manifestation of the elixir's magic. Transparent figures waltzed to an otherworldly melody, their ethereal gowns and ghostly laughter echoing through the cavernous space. The air was charged with a bittersweet nostalgia, capturing moments frozen in time. Yet, as the spectral ballroom unfolded, Eleanor realized that the elixir had not merely unlocked the mansion's memories but had stirred a malevolent force. Shadows grew darker, and the once beautiful apparitions transformed into tormented spirits, their eyes hollow and desperate. The grandeur of the ballroom twisted into a haunting spectacle that mirrored the mansion's cursed history. In the heart of the mansion, Eleanor confronted the source of the curse, a spectral figure with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through the veil between worlds. The figure, a manifestation of the elixir's influence, spoke of unfinished business and a thirst for release from the eternal torment that bound Ravencrest Manor. Compelled by empathy, Eleanor sought a way to break the curse and free the tormented spirits. The ancient manuscripts hinted at a ritual of redemption that required a sacrifice, a choice that would determine the fate of the mansion and its spectral inhabitants. As the storm outside reached its climax, Eleanor performed the ritual in the hidden chamber, the symbols on the walls glowing with an intensity that mirrored the storm's fury. The mansion quivered, and the malevolent force seemed to recoil as the sacrifice unfolded. The elixir's magic, now channeled for redemption, purged the mansion of its haunting energies. In the aftermath, Ravencrest Manor returned to a stillness that had long been absent. The storm outside subsided, and the once tormented spirits found peace. The grand hall, once a spectral ballroom, returned to its elegant splendor, with echoes of laughter replaced by the quietude of a mansion finally at rest. Eleanor, forever changed by the mystical ordeal, emerged from the depths of Ravencrest Manor. The elixir's influence lingered, leaving an indelible mark on her understanding of the supernatural. The town, unaware of the spectral drama that had unfolded within the mansion's walls, resumed its quiet existence, with Ravencrest Manor standing as a silent testament to the mysteries that lay beneath its facade. The tale of Eleanor's night in Ravencrest Manor became a whispered legend among the townspeople. The mansion, though still an enigma, now held an air of redemption, a story of a solitary woman who, guided by a mystical force, confronted the darkness within and brought peace to the restless spirits that lingered in the shadows. In the remote countryside, surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills, there stood an old farmhouse with a history veiled in mystery. The farmhouse, weathered by time and echoes of forgotten stories, became the stage for a chilling tale that unfolded on a night when the air was thick with the scent of autumn leaves. Margaret, a middle-aged woman with a penchant for solitude, had recently inherited the farmhouse from her eccentric uncle, who had spent his life delving into the arcane and the supernatural. The townspeople spoke in hushed tones about the strange occurrences that had plagued the farmhouse for generations, and Margaret, despite her rational nature, couldn't ignore the unsettling atmosphere that clung to the property. One gloomy evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Margaret found herself alone in the farmhouse. The townspeople, wary of the tales surrounding the old dwelling, chose to stay away. It was on this night that an eerie stillness settled over the countryside, and the farmhouse seemed to come alive with the whispers of the past. Margaret, sitting by the crackling fireplace, tried to shake off the disquiet that lingered in the air. The wooden floorboards creaked beneath her, and the wind outside howled through the ancient trees, carrying with it the spectral echoes of bygone eras. It was then that she discovered a hidden door in the corner of the living room, a door that seemed to lead to a forgotten part of the farmhouse. Curiosity overcoming her trepidation, Margaret opened the door, revealing a narrow staircase that descended into darkness. The air grew colder as she descended, and the flickering light of her lantern cast long, wavering shadows on the stone walls. At the bottom of the stairs, she found herself in a subterranean chamber, adorned with symbols and markings that hinted at a forgotten purpose. In the center of the chamber lay an old book bound in weathered leather, an ancient grimoire filled with incantations and illustrations of otherworldly beings. The pages spoke of a curse that had long plagued the farmhouse, a curse linked to an ancient ritual performed by Margaret's uncle in his pursuit of supernatural knowledge. Compelled by a strange force, Margaret read aloud an incantation from the grimoire. As the final words left her lips, the chamber quivered, and the air became charged with an electric energy. Unseen eyes seemed to watch from the shadows, and the markings on the walls glowed with an ethereal luminescence. The farmhouse, now ensnared in the mystical forces she had unwittingly unleashed, began to transform. Shadows danced on the walls, and the wooden beams overhead seemed to warp and twist. Whispers, indistinct and haunting, reverberated through the once quiet rooms, creating a symphony of spectral voices that echoed through the night. Margaret, feeling the weight of a presence unseen, ascended the narrow staircase to find the farmhouse transformed into a labyrinth of otherworldly corridors. The walls pulsated with an unnatural glow, and the air hummed with a spectral resonance. Rooms that were once familiar now led to unfamiliar spaces, each turn revealing a distorted reality that seemed to defy the laws of nature. In her desperate attempt to escape the ever-changing labyrinth, Margaret encountered apparitions, phantom figures that flickered at the edge of her vision. Their eyes held a silent plea, and their translucent forms seemed to embody the collective anguish of those who had fallen victim to the curse that lingered in the farmhouse. As Margaret navigated the shifting corridors, she stumbled upon a chamber that seemed to be at the heart of the supernatural disturbance. In the center lay an ancient mirror, its reflective surface revealing distorted versions of the farmhouse and the spectral entities that now inhabited its twisted reality. Compelled to confront the malevolent force, Margaret gazed into the ancient mirror. The spectral entities, once mere reflections, began to reach out from the reflective surface, their ghostly fingers almost breaking through the boundaries between the mirrored realm and the physical world. The air thickened with an oppressive energy as the entities sought to bridge the gap between the spectral and the mundane. Margaret, understanding the gravity of her uncle's pursuits and the curse that bound the farmhouse, sought a way to break the supernatural entanglement. The grimoire hinted at a ritual of purification, a ritual that required both courage and sacrifice. With a heavy heart, Margaret undertook the ritual, uttering words of redemption and offering a piece of herself to appease the restless spirits. As the ritual unfolded, the labyrinthine corridors of the farmhouse began to fade, and the spectral entities within the mirror recoiled. The oppressive energy lifted, and the distorted reality returned to a semblance of normalcy. Margaret, now marked by the mystical encounter, emerged from the farmhouse with a newfound understanding of the supernatural forces that lurked in the shadows. The townspeople, unaware of the spectral drama that had unfolded within the farmhouse, continued their lives as the old dwelling returned to a quiet stillness. Margaret, burdened by the knowledge of the curse and the redemption she had sought, became a guardian of the farmhouse's secrets, a silent keeper of the arcane in the remote countryside.